So I had to restart this a few times because for whatever reason, people couldn't join. Twitter was kind of giving me some feedback. But PSX, if you could direct it at the start, and then because I got to get to my notes real quick.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm getting situated. I guess I had a schedule mix up here, so I do apologize. We're gonna give about a couple of minutes for everyone, or a few minutes for everyone to trickle in. But just to kind of tee this up a little bit, how this is gonna work. This is gonna be a 30-minute, maybe 45-minute AMA blitz. Toward the end, I'll bring up. We may have time for maybe five questions. If that, I know we've created an alternative account where people can direct their questions if we can't get to everybody. And what we'll do is we'll take all those questions, compile them, and then broadcast them where everybody can see their questions being answered. And maybe somebody asked a question that they were thinking that they didn't. Hopefully they didn't. Hopefully they're asking the same question to somebody else that will get answered later on. And I'll submit that to LBA if he doesn't mind. And we can get all that in writing and then put that out there for the public to see. Is that something you'll be okay with?
Sorry, answering questions?
Yeah. If we can't get to get to all of them, we came up with this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
cool.
Yeah,
yeah. And then after the AMA, because gosh, man, it's been such a busy week. So, and then we'll go into our podcast. Jerry will be the host. Will be the host of the AMA, and then I'll take the driver's seat once we dive into our short podcast to do some catching up. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Okay. Looks like, let's see, we are running a little behind. Jerry, how you doing on your end?
Well, I don't have everything in front of me. Just give me 1 minute.
Yeah, let me see if I can't. Let me see if I can get those over to you real quick. Here, you can check your. All right, I've resubmitted to you. Let me know when you get those.
Do you do it on Discord?
Yeah. Will we do it through Twitter?
No. You were thinking Lunkburn was Central Standard? I think that's what happened.
Yeah, that was probably my fault.
How about you get it started, because you're looking at it right in front, and then once I'm able to get it, because my phone is, I'm not trying not to use my phone because my phone is freezing. So,
oh no. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just get it started and then I'll hop in.
Yeah, cool. Once you get so I'll go ahead and tee this up. Real quick, guys, thanks for coming in with our L1 AMA update. There's a lot that we want to go over in a short amount of time today. I'm PSX, the co-host, and Jerry, once he gets his phone situated, he'll take over driver's seat from there. And just to welcome everybody, and then of course LBA, thanks for taking the time out of your busy day to giving us your update. First and foremost, I want to start off with a quick question as to how are you and the team doing right now? I know there's been a lot of work in the background and a lot of noise outside, so just give us a brief insight on how the team's feeling and where they're at right now.
I'd have to say that everybody's feeling really good. We started the quarter heads down work. I mean, we never really stopped. We kept going, even though at some point it wasn't. We didn't feel it was a sure thing that we would be in Q2. After the first vote didn't pass. We revised the proposal, and then we were given the second mandate, and we kept working. I'd have to say, yeah, everybody's feeling pretty good. We're focused on the deliverables that there are. really tried our best to just focus on the work and then to streamline our communications that we have going out. We still want to engage with everybody and do events such as this and provide answers so that everybody can have timely responses. And but we're trying to streamline it so that it's a little more organized coming out from us. And like I think it was pretty good in Q1, but we just wanted to streamline it even a little bit more. So yeah, we're having fun.
Nice. That's good to hear. And as far as like streamlining your the improvements that you guys are looking to make to streamline those communications with the community, are there any other what are the bigger challenges that you guys have faced so far during this quarter?
Well, I mean, I would say that the biggest thing was the whole, providing a mechanism for freezing the funds that were stolen during in those wallets. We knew it was going to be contentious. We were asked to provide that. It was never added to the code base. It had to be approved by governance. We just do what the people, what the will of the people is, and the appropriate way is to have it resolved through governance, and it was. And I would say that was the most, it was done with the intent of protecting the blockchain or giving the option to, restore stolen funds. And we didn't, like, we're not mind readers, and we didn't know which way the community would want to go on it. And that's the way governance is supposed to work. So it worked out the way that it was supposed to.
It's good to hear. I was gonna hand it back over to Jerry. It seems like he's got his hand raised.
Yeah. So, Lunkburn, I think the big question in everybody's mind is the same thing over and over again. Been hearing a lot of chatter in the background and on Twitter itself about parity. When are we going to open up the gates and get some other utilities able to build?
Well, I mean, utilities are able to build now, right? So they can be building today. They can come on chain today if they like. Uh, you know, there's nothing stopping anybody. However, when we get to parity, some of the apps that are running more modern versions of smart contracts and compatible with more modern versions of Cosmos SDK, uh, Cosmwasm and so on, they're uh, they're going to then be more keen on coming over because it's going to be a much easier migration for them.
Now, are there other upgrades beyond the one that you're doing right now that is potential for Q3?
Well, I mean, I think you definitely need to consistently, as soon as, I mean, I just saw that they've released a newer version of Cosmwasm that's like just as of yesterday sort of idea that they announced. So you constantly have to have a release plan that you're upgrading periodically to make sure that you're on the most modern versions. So we'll want to keep that. Once we get the chain upgraded, we'll want to stay upgraded, right? We want to do it periodically, once every 6-9 months. Sometimes you can get away with once a year, but it'll probably be more along the lines of once every 6 to 9 months you do a major upgrade to, well, and it won't be as, it'll be more, you do an upgrade to the most recent version is the point there. So yeah, we'll want to stay upgraded once we get there. So the target is May 31st. We were fortunate to be able to complete a lot of the work in Q1. We took, our responsibility in Q1 was to provide options, where we did that, and we developed about 80% of the solution for parity. So this quarter, that's why we're able to kind of get there relatively quickly.
Just want to check in on Jerry to see if he's good on the phone situation.
Sometimes this old iPhone does like makes me rug sometimes just because it's overheating or whatever. But it's okay now. But I think I did rug there for a second.
All right, sounds good. All right.
All right. So what I got before I stopped hearing everything was there's going to be some other updates to stay updated with the rest of everything. Now, I had a podcast with White Whale Protocol not too long ago, and I heard that you were able to talk to them. The upgrades for the parity that you got going in right now, have you discovered that that's something that they can utilize, or there's some other things that you have to adjust for them specifically if they're going to make the decision?
Yeah, no, we confirmed with them. I spoke with them last evening. The upgrade that we're doing, the Cosmosm version that we're upgrading to, as well as IBC, meets their requirements, so they're all set. Once we do the upgrade, if they want to come over, they're ready and able. And it's from the sounds of it, it sounds like they're pretty interested in it. So I think that's exciting news.
Yeah, I know they're interested. However, I know they have governance too. So if anybody wants to keep track of that, once they have a proposal go up, you can probably track and see how that's going, and maybe talk to some of the people that are more involved in that project. But I think that's exciting. So when they do start, did they? They probably didn't talk about how long it's going to take for them to set up a hub or anything like that, did they?
No, they didn't mention anything like that. Those would be good questions to follow up with, and find out what their timeline looks like. But I think it's an interesting, utility that could provide some value for the community, and they seem to be in many places in the cosmos. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. One thing I'm keenly interested in, right, is I really want to see, because there's two sides of some folks are very pro burn tax, and some folks are very pro utility, right? And so what's been said is, utility is going to bring volume, right? And what I'm really keenly interested in is, well, we're going to get there on May 31st. And I really hope personally, just myself personally, to see some volume, because if we get any significant amount of volume, I think that's going to be quite exciting for the ecosystem. Just because we already have a deflationary token, and it's fairly simple math to apply. Just take the volume and increase it tenfold and see what that does to the deflationary supply. It's really interesting. So I'm going to be watching that very closely on a personal level. It doesn't have anything per se to do with our software upgrades or anything, and we serve at the pleasure of the community. So we implement whatever the consensus is and the direction that the community would like to go. I'm just saying, on a personal level, I'm really going to be interested to see, I really hope a lot of utilities come over. We're going to make it as easy as possible for them. And I hope that a lot of folks use those utilities, and that we have a lot of circulation of Luna Classic going through the through the ecosystem. But
So I
as
know.
they say, yeah, the proof is going to be in the pudding. A couple months from now, we'll have some real data that we can look at, and that we can analyze how we're doing, in terms of what some of the goals and objectives might be, right? So I'm a data I'm a fan of decision based or evidence based decision making. And, I'm a fan of obtaining the data and then really looking at the data and making informed decisions on policy for that. That's my personal, approach to things.
So I know several months ago I heard you talking about an onboarding process, um, and I already know you're probably planning it. But can you give us a little bit of a sneak preview of what it's going to be like? Somebody with a layer 2 project that wants to build on Luna Classic, what type of onboarding that they expect to go through?
Well, we talked about it several months ago. This is one of the things right now that, you know, we've had a sort of governance proposal that we've been thinking about doing, but haven't done it yet just because um, it's potentially, I don't want to have too many things happening at once. We're going to be at parity in a short time. We are personally going to provide assistance to anybody that comes over. But moving forward, Jerry, I think the larger vision that we really ought to have in the community is a layer 2 team that we have that directly interfaces with the layer 1, and provides that sort of test. And now we've done that through voluntary efforts through Gevik, who's joined out of his, uh, providing volunteer time, and he's been a wonderful asset, and he's sort of helped bridge that gap. But in the fullness of time, I think it would be good to have a small L2 team, couple people that their primary role is to do two things. One is to test, well, maybe three things. One is to test upgrades, that we do and work very, very closely with us. The second thing would be to help onboard new folks, and the other piece would be maybe for the development of key features and functions that we could look at for other, like payment type of plugins and things like that we could extend out to other ecosystems, for web-based payments and things. So those sorts of things would be important. And then also the other piece is sort of the maintaining and management of uh, Station Wallet, just in terms of as it relates to our upgrades, and then distributing that out, those updates out to the providers. So that's one key change that we've made in our approach for this quarter. That's been different since the last, is that we've taken a much more proactive approach in terms of testing Station, rather than relying on the station providers to do so.
Awesome. So basically, I'd be interested in personally knowing when you find those individuals that are doing some of the onboarding, like the go between the L1 and the layer 2, only because I like to get people on the podcast between myself and PSX. And if we get some potential layer 2s from other chains on the podcast, I think it'd be good to know who we can throw those, tell those people who they can talk to. Because right now we've kind of been sending them your way. So is Gevik one of them?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think ultimately we should probably put the layer 2 team through governance and get it approved. That's the approach. Otherwise, I think it's a desperately needed piece that we're going to have. The other thing that I think is maybe not a governance piece, but that I really hope is happening is folks, and I'm glad, Jerry, that you've been doing some of this, like talking to White Whale and others, is, bring them in, have a conversation, tell them what Luna Classic has to offer. And, we want good, honest utilities that provide value to our user base. There's some games in development that look quite fun. I'm personally looking forward to playing some of those. There's one that looks kind of like a Mario Brothers sort of game that Garuda Notes has been developing. So stuff like that I'm really excited to see. And the more good utilities, Jerry, you've launched your Luna Sapiens. There's others that are doing that are providing value. We need those folks to come over, and then we will have hopefully we have lots of funds circulating in the environment, right? That's the key to circulation and movement and velocity of money is a key piece to success in our ecosystem, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, with parity coming, there's going to be momentum, and then there's going to be a time, probably within the next several months, where there's going to be so many things going on we won't know what to talk about. So I think that's going to be a good problem to have. So I think we'll continue to reach out, like you said. I do remember. I don't know if you recall Battle Bears. We were talking to them probably 6-7 months ago. I'm probably going to try to reach out to them as well to see if they're still interested in putting something on the chain, because now's the time to start getting everybody back over here and having these conversations. So PSX, you established a new timeline. You let me know when I need to go into questions from everybody else, and then you can take over.
We've got another 10 minutes.
All right, perfect. So I think that the thing that I'm most excited about is just the ability of opening up the gates per se, right? So parity is one thing. Now, there's all these utilities that are out there. They would also have to have IBCs specifically opened up for each different chains, or they're not just going to be opened up all at once, right?
Well, I mean, it depends. It depends on the type of utility that it is. There's some that are just Luna Classic based that they may not require something like that. Like as an example, Terra Poker coming over, I'm not sure that they would use anything like that. The IBCs are for inter-blockchain communications, right? So the ones that do need them, we can as they're requested, they can be provisioned and so on and so forth. So yeah.
So I want to talk to you about the new lead developer that you just built a relationship with, and he came on board. Has that individual already done some work, and how is it? How's everybody getting along in the team, and how's everybody working?
Yeah, no, it's definitely good. He's I have permission to use his first name. He didn't want to be doxed to the community, but his first name is Vincent. He's a really, really nice guy. Super, super nice guy, to be honest. His English is his native language is Mandarin. So he's a good second language English speaker. So he's very but he's a Cosmos SDK expert that we're looking for. And we were very fortunate that he applied for the role. So it's it's a fun dynamic we have. He's primarily starting work on the he's started work on the Cosmosm upgrade, which is for the for parity. Again, we're fairly far along there, so we should be good. And then we'll start to see that come to completion. We're also we're running the upgrade in the test net tomorrow, which is the chain halt upgrade that we're going to be running, which is 2.0.0, which is prior to parity. And so we're running that upgrade tomorrow. So that's going to be fun. In testnet, we've used basically the most we're not using recommended configurations. Let me put it that way. We're using if we've said to use Go version 18 and you shouldn't be using 19, well, we put 19 on a couple of them, a couple of the nodes, just to try to we're trying to see if we can break the upgrade intentionally. And that's just part of the way that you test, is to make sure that when we go and do the upgrade, we apply the lessons learned we had from the last time, and we test it rigorously, and so far, touch wood, it's looking really good. So tomorrow we're doing that upgrade, and then May 17th we're doing the production upgrade. That's the date it's targeted for, plus or minus a couple days if we run into any challenges tomorrow. So there should be a governance proposal going up for that shortly. It'll be in Agora within the next day or so, and then it'll be posted up for vote after that. And then so that's kind of what we're up to.
So with all updates, some things can happen. I know you guys are doing the security checks on the testnet side and everything. Are you anticipating some potential things, basically making you guys put in some extra hours right after the upgrade goes? Because I remember, you remember last year when there was an upgrade and there was a time where some of the utilities were down and things like that, and it got fixed relatively quickly. But are you putting in basically some hours set aside to where people can be available in case something like that happens?
Yeah, so that's like our post production support, and that's absolutely the case. We're really one of the things all DApp owners, could and should download the pre-release binary, set up their own validator, run their DApp against it in a test net, make sure that everything works fine, right? And fix it prior to. That's generally the practice for all DApp owners that they should follow. In any event, we've tested Station extensively to try to mitigate any challenges there. And we can't test every DApp. That's just not possible, and it would be beyond our mandate in any event. However, we will be there to support after the upgrade. This is quite a large upgrade in terms of the change in Cosmos SDK. So we're really trying to just make sure that we're available, and we'll provide any support as needed following.
Yeah, PSX, just one little quick follow-up question, if you don't mind. So
Yep, go ahead.
Is the reason, I'm just assuming this, but please tell me the answer here, Lunkburn. Because the upgrade is such a vast change and difference from the previous upgrade, because you guys are not, you could take it step by step, but you guys are going to the most updated version. Is this potentially going to cause some issues with the applications, like you said? However, do the validators need to do any updates as well, and when are those scheduled?
Yeah, so that's when we do an upgrade, basically all of our upgrades moving forward, they're all using upgrade handlers, and they halt the chain on a certain date and time, which is 7 days after we post a governance proposal, a software governance proposal. And the software governance proposal says, okay, on such and such block, we pause, and it pauses at that, it stops at that block height. And then all of the validators are required, 67% of validators are required to update at that point. So they have to download they have to download the update. They install the update. Once we hit, over 67%, the chain starts producing blocks again and resumes. So that is, that's tentatively, we're looking at May 17th for that. With respect to the applications, the layer one would, we don't expect any impacts really to anything L1 related. It's all L2, right? When we do upgrades, typically where you see the impact downstream is with L2 applications. So we've tested against Station, and we will hopefully the other DApp owners will test and make sure that they're ready to go, and make any updates usually there's small bugs, right, that happen, and something, a certain transaction is failing because of, gas fee needs to be increased or something, and then you can typically make the fixes relatively quickly. So we'll be there to support for that.
All right, PSX, I made you co-host, so if you can accept that, and then you can take over. I think you want to do the Q&A portion. Go ahead.
Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. Yeah, no. Before I do, I just want to ask one last question just to kind of help wrap it up before we go into the Q&A. Repeg, because I know that's going to be the one of the topics on a lot of people's minds. Like, if at all, is L1 going to be playing a role in the repeg process, if any?
Well, I would say that yes. I mean, that's you definitely need, highly skilled L1 development work to play a part in that process for sure. So I would imagine, we've spoken with Redline Drifter. There's some communication that's going to be happening with some of the exchanges that he's let us know he's working on. So once we get, there would be a separate proposal that goes up to say, okay, we're going to now, we're going to start working on this. Then we would have to put that into the queue and priority list, and presumably, I would imagine, just by the way that the timing looks, it would end up being later in this quarter towards the next one, really. Just based on, they need a few weeks to talk to exchanges and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's looking around that time frame. But I'd be very excited to work on it. I mean, I think it's a really exciting proposition, and one of the best ways that we can restore the ecosystem, just in terms of the potential for reducing the supply of lunk. It's definitely the fastest way, but it's got to be done very thoughtfully, very methodically, really manage risk very carefully, really test, a lot of the different ideas in the test, in the test net, and do it rigorously. But the key is to get started with these things, right? The perfection, if you wait for the perfect solution before you start, you'll never get started. So I think, it's important that iterative, you can see it in software development. You can see it in things like Tesla and their, product development life cycle. Iterative design always works better, in my opinion, anyway, as it relates to software.
Really cool. Okay, so that's the last question for this AMA. Jeez, man, we crammed a lot in such a short amount of time. Jerry, you sounded like you were under a lot of pressure, so sorry about that for putting you in that position. All right, so I want to go into the Q&A and start bringing in people who may have questions. We may only have, at the most, depending if we can crunch as many questions, maybe at most, maybe 10. What we'll also do is, for those who didn't get a chance to ask questions, we'll provide an alternative Twitter account to where you can make the DMs, send your questions to that particular account, where we can compile it and then send it over to LBA to have those questions, and then broadcast that where everybody can see it. So I'm going to give everyone a couple of minutes to go ahead and request to speak, and then who may have questions for LBA he can answer.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right. So if anybody has any questions, just hit that request and I'll bring you up and you can ask your questions. All right. We got
Yeah.
Oniric Steak.
Yeah, Oniric Steak. Anyway,
Neric's take. I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. Yeah. Thanks for you guys of hosting this and everything, and thanks for LBA coming up and explaining as much as you can. Jerry, you did give those questions I gave you last time to LBA?
Yes, and I can actually, Eric, I can, one of the things I've completed a Q&A. Let me just send.
I sent him I DM'd him the Medium article link. It's in his DM for me.
Oh, okay.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, all those questions have been answered in a question and answer format in a Medium article.
Oh.
Thank you for providing the questions.
No, thank you for answering it. Yeah, I mean, the major problem was before that. Why Jerry made this happen is because everybody is getting confused. What's happening? Who is what? Who is doing what? And everything was in confusion. I hope that from going forward, of course, you have done a lot from what you have said, and building up the chain and all that. And it's just that, yeah, you might need to kind of have something come out on not every single week or every single day, maybe like once or twice a month of some kind of update, what's happening. It's just a small kind of like a accounting sort of thing, so that people can know what's happening to the chain. Are they being kind of like left out or this thing, and all that stuff. Other than that, I appreciate the hard work and everything.
So no problem at all. On Twitter, I do a bi-weekly status update. So it you can check if you follow me on Twitter. I publish them on Medium and I share those out. It tracks the delivery of everything from, what's in the quarter, how we're progressing against those items, any issues or challenges we might have, any budgetary spend, any budgetary surplus that we're expecting, by the end of the quarter, things of that nature. And I provide that update twice a month. Sometimes I'll, even if there's more of a reason to do an ad hoc update, I'll do it in between, but it's scheduled bi-monthly. And then we do a once a month minimum AMA. In this particular case, we're doing 2 AMAs this week, one today and one on this upcoming Friday where Ivan's hosting one. So we want to engage as much as we can that way. And I do have to say that I think that the question and answer approach that you guys provided, Eric, is actually excellent. It's really good because it's very difficult and challenging and also time consuming in terms of chasing down or trying to be part of 10 different Discord servers, and it takes up too much time away from the work that needs to be done. And the collation of those questions, the way they were collated, is excellent, because then you can sit down and provide all the answers to the whole community at the same time. Everybody can see the questions that were asked, and then you don't end up with duplicate questions, that somebody else may want to ask. They can already get the answer that's already been answered. They can get that from looking at the article. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I really appreciate for all of this thing. Anyway, I think there's another speaker. So anyway, I just want to say thank you. I'll get the answers to the community and let them read through it, and hopefully they may have some more answers. I'll pass it on. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Eric. I'm going to bring you down to listener. And then Aru, you're up. Do you have a question?
Yeah. What's up, everyone? And hi, LBA. I think we have been talking to each other for quite some time now. So I don't think that there are any questions that I need to ask him specifically. So I would just want to say that you have been doing great work, and I did see that you opened up IBC with Gojira. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm hoping that you could give us some updates regarding that, and the tentative timeline for implementing something like that, because as far as I've been reading, it's going to take till June. So if you could give us some clarity on that, then I'll really appreciate that.
No problem at all. Thank you. The IBC to Kujira was sort of put as a priority to be delivered in June. Till had a little bit of extra cycle and I would say that it's ahead of schedule right now, according for that deliverable. So really right now it's up to Kujira and their governance process, whether or not, and it looks like it's passing right now. So yeah, we're basically all set from our side of things. So it's up to them whether or not we get listed on their financial exchange, which I hope we do. That would be that would be nice for people to be able to trade Lunk over there, and for us to provide some value to their user base.
Well, there's nobody else requesting actually. So PSX, do you want to roll into the last portion of doing the actual uninterrupted part? And then Aru, if you could move back down the listener, we'll go for it.
Cool. All right, I'm gonna move them down, and then and Jerry, if you can nest the that alt account,
the Q&A account,
yeah, for the Q&A, and then anybody else who have a question they hadn't really quite thought of, and they can just DM it there, and then we'll compile it.
So I'm gonna stay silent. So it's on you right now, because I gotta come out of the space and then come back.
Yeah, no worries. All right. Okay, so we're gonna go into while Jerry's gonna handle that part. This is gonna be the podcast portion where I'll take the driver's seat and uninterrupted, no questions, just candid, relaxed, just you and I having a conversation. Let's not make this awkward. LBA, how you doing, man?
Good, doing well, thanks.
Yeah, you've gone through a lot in the past. I want to say year, but just in these past maybe 4 months alone has really been. I don't know how to put it. I mean, you have taken one beating after another one, and haven't waned in the slightest. And I'm trying to get my head wrapped around like what was going through your head.
So I think that criticism is always a good thing, and I think that free speech is another good thing, and I think that holding people up to a high standard is also a good thing. So I look at I really appreciate anybody who offers feedback or has questions. I think the only thing that I would ask about and hope for is that things are done respectfully, right? Myself and the team, we have the best interests of everybody at heart. We are investors and we want to see the blockchain succeed. So, I just say, please understand that we're really working really hard, trying, our absolute best, and we have the talent and the skill and the understanding needed to achieve the objectives we have in front of us. So from that perspective, I think I welcome any questions, comments, or critiques. Where it gets a little bit tough is where it becomes like personal, or mudslinging or things like that. And I think that just as a community, we can do much better. We'd be much better off without that sort of thing.
Right. Was there any given moment at some time where you just I mean, I can't imagine your sense of morale was being tested through that entire phase. I mean, it really speaks volume to you as a professional and your character. There was you and I had a one-on-one conversation before you and your team had decided to onboard this other individual who, and again, congratulations to him for taking on the senior role for this team. Bilbo Margic, one of my buddies who I've become good friends with, had made a case for Bilbo, and I wish he was around so he can really express it better than I can. Because I mean, trying to communicate verbatim exactly his case is going to be difficult. But it was something willing to have that one-on-one conversation. But what really struck me, where I kind of had a change of heart, was I didn't know voice doxing. Have you ever heard of that before? Because that's a first for me. And would you know why anybody wouldn't want to be voice doxed? I'm still trying to get my head wrapped around because I've been pondering it for quite some time. I mean, you've been in the crypto space much longer than I have. Maybe that's something you have heard of. Maybe you can shine some light on it, on why somebody wouldn't want to be voice doxed.
I've personally never heard of voice doxing myself.
Oh, sorry.
As a general rule, though, PSX, I don't really want to talk about any specific individual, so I'll only talk about the voice dox
Right.
piece. Because I really want to build bridges, and I think we all collectively should basically get to work, right? If we're not working, or doing something to help the ecosystem, then what's the saying? You just if you don't have something nice, like or critiques, right? Like we want to build people up. That's where I'm going with this. We want to build
Right.
people up and build bridges. So, but voice doxing I've not heard of.
Okay.
I can tell you that the L1 team is fully doxed to ourselves, and we have all of our tax forms and things like that with TGF. So if Ed wanted to, he could hop in his car and drive a little bit and show up at my front door for a cup of coffee. So we're doxed to that level. Personally, on the L1 team, I think everybody in the community knows my first name. I'm just looking around. Chrissy knows my first and last name, and so I'm fully doxed to Chrissy. I'm fully doxed to Ivan. So a lot of our team is doxed. What I think is most important, though, is not necessarily, like, I think development teams should be, this is just, again, my opinion, right? So we do what the will of the community is. And if the will of the community is, hey, all development teams are, fully doxed, and all community influencers are fully doxed, and all validators need, I don't know what the recommendation would be, but whatever governance says we would do, right?
Right.
In our case, our lead, our new Cosmos SDK expert said, I really don't want to be on Twitter. I just want to do the work, and in my line of thinking, that's actually probably a positive thing. So to me, like, the GitHub commits are what's most important, when you're looking at development work. So I mean, that I think is really important, and just knowing, so to me, but also, to me, I've been around the community and for the better part of a year now, or something to that effect anyway. And I think some level of engagement from people on the team is important. So that's just my take on it.
Oh, Jerry's got a question.
Yeah. So, I mean, the podcast, I mean, we're still talking shop here, right? So, I just kind of want to dive into something because I noticed you said something that one of my hobbies I like too is video games. Now I haven't been able to play too many lately,
And
but
you got a kid coming up, man. You ain't gonna have
I
time for
know.
video games. Like, what are you doing talking about video games?
So I just want to know if there's a game that hasn't got developed yet, or there's a game coming out that Lunkburn Army is looking forward to playing if he ever finds the time.
Well, I can tell you, this in between this quarter and the last, you know, because I have a full-time job on top of this, I've basically been working around the clock, and so I haven't, like seriously, it's funny because I sat there the other night and thought, wow, there's maybe been like 5 or 6 nights where I've sat down and watched a movie in the last, total, at home, or just sat around and not been working. I've been basically constantly working on the blockchain, and believe me, I'm not complaining. I'm happy to be doing so. But having said that, yeah, I mean, I'm excited to. I want to try that Garuda the Defender. It looks really cool, and it looks like you can earn some lunk that way. So I'm hoping maybe I can make some money towards some retirement savings playing that game.
Right on. And just a weird question for you too. I think you can tell a lot about a person by whatever their favorite movie is. And I'm assuming it's probably one from the 80s, but what's your favorite movie? Now, I know PSX, don't criticize me. I definitely want to know
I'm
this.
already criticizing you, dude.
Oh, Jerry, there's too many good movies, like there's
80s movie.
just so.
Favorite 80s movie.
Oh, that's even too hard. I mean,
If you could
like
only pick one.
if I can, I need more time. I need more time to think about them because
What's
I'll
the first
think
one
of.
that popped in your head though?
Well, I mean, I love Ferris Bueller's Day Off as an example, right? Like that movie I watched when I was a little kid, and it was hilarious, and I still to this day can put it on and love it. I love all the John Hughes movies that he did. Those are all great timeless movies. I like the original Star Trek series; those were fun movies, or the original movie motion pictures. But in terms of 80s movies, I mean, there's so many, The Breakfast Club, Stand By Me, there are too many to count, just epic films. But I love anything by John Hughes.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot. And sometimes I feel like when I'm looking at the cinema, it's not the same as when I was younger, right? All right, PSX, you can take over again. I just wanted to know that little bit.
All right, no, it's all right because I was gonna if you're gonna ask him random questions, and this one, hopefully, this won't piss off the lung community. But have you been paying attention to what's going on with Pepe? It's like I had to ask.
Well, if I'm completely honest, I do not own any Pepe, and
Not financial advice, anybody, by the way. It's
not
like
financial advice, no. And I'm just kind of watching it from a distance, just in terms of only really what I see on my Twitter timeline, and I'm more interested just to see how it all plays out. Just as an interested observer. I'm solely and exclusively focused on Lunk right now, so that's really where it is. But it is interesting to see. We've seen a few of these, right? We've seen like the Shiba Inu come through. We've seen, Pepe now with a lot of hype. And it's an interesting, it's interesting to understand the psychology and price dynamics as they happen. So it's just interesting, right? To watch that. And it happens in the stock markets as well, too, from time to time, right?
right. Yeah, no, it's I mean, what was it? With Pepe, it's purely hype. With the Lunk, it was a story of a comeback, like the underdog of kind of like I want to say it was. Again, I'm gonna probably pull an '80s movie back here, so I don't want to hear it, Jerry. Like a Rockies movie, you get punched in the face, you get back up.
Oh, I love those movies too. I should have mentioned those. Those are great
Yeah,
movies. I love
yeah,
them all.
How about
yeah.
Rambo?
Speaking of what, now I was gonna go with Creed. Have you seen the Creed series? That where it
Yep, I love
Yeah,
all of them.
like
Yeah, they're all great movies. Now, speaking of movies, just to bring up another director that I really like is the one that did Interstellar. More modern. I loved Interstellar, and he's done a bunch of stuff that's really
is that the
great.
one with
So
Matthew McConaughey?
yeah, it's a great movie.
Okay.
Christopher Nolan, right? He's the director.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he's the one
did
who did that one.
Inception. That was
He
another
did
good
the
one. By
Inception, did the
yeah,
Batman's as well. And
Batman's. Yeah.
yeah, I mean his movies I've noticed takes your what you think you know and just elevates it. It's almost like, and again, not endorsing drug use, but it's more like you need to be on what's that one that I keep hearing about? DMT. Is that right, Jerry?
Probably, yeah. That's the Joe Rogan like thing he likes to talk about all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, DMT. It's like, man, it's got me a little curious. Again, not endorsing any kind of drug usage, but just it did cross my mind.
I think that Lunk is, we should still be telling the comeback story, in my opinion. This is just my personal opinion. But I don't
Oh,
think I think we've got a lot of story left to write. And I think that, personally, I think there's a lot of opportunity still there with Ed's AI sidechain coming, with what I'm hoping is a big increase in on-chain volume, you know um and if not, then whatever other approaches we find that really work. And again, that's got to be born out of data, evidence-based decision making, in my opinion. But I think there's an exciting story to tell here, and especially with this community. It's the first decentralized, I think, example of this that I'm aware of anyways. I don't know if you guys are aware of others that run quite the same way as us, that it's a decentralized comeback the way that we have it.
yeah. Speaking of Ed, like, how is he doing? I mean, he just recently released his AI chain papers. But beyond that, I can only imagine like he's got family and he's just putting his face down and getting to work. Like, what is your understanding? I haven't had a chance to read his papers yet, but have you given any time to looking through his papers?
Yeah, I've actually asked him a lot about it. I still stay in touch with Ed almost on a daily basis.
Oh,
He's
nice.
still a great person. He's focused on that development piece. We still have to provide, he keeps abreast of how we're progressing with our work and stuff like that. And there's times where we'll just have a question, that something he may have worked on, and we'll ask him, and or even sometimes I'll say, hey Ed, what do you think about this, and so we stay in touch fairly often. I do have a good understanding of sort of the direction he's going in. There's a couple of pieces that still need to be sort of ironed out, but when he gets to the production version of it. So he's working that out, like in particular how to incentivize the people that are providing the compute power. So yeah, it's exciting though. It's an exciting development.
Okay, so and then because and this might be, I mean, without, I don't know if you can answer this next question. It might be a loaded one without even drawing any kind of preconceived notion. But um are there any what are what are the potential applications for AI with Luna Classic? Is what I'm trying to get my head wrapped around. I mean, AI has been such a contentious issues in the political conversations, specifically here in the U.S. Like just recently, the godfather of AI, of ChatGPT, literally came out and said, "Just shut it all down." Like like maybe he saw something that there was something potentially dangerous, and now, and again, I'm not going into like AI self-awareness, or maybe we're going to, you know, Terminator type world or post-apocalyptic scenario, but what are the implications of bringing AI to Luna Classic?
Well, the way that it's designed is you have a side chain so that you don't overload the network with the compute power. And the way that it would be integrated is by providing Luna Classic delegators and validators some sort of in incentive, through the case of receiving, rewards, right? So that has to still, the exact mechanics behind that, like I said, for production has to be evaluated. So we separate and segment, these, any type of potentially network heavy application, so that it's not right on our chain, because we want the chain itself, we want to have incredibly fast throughput and so on and so forth. With the Luna Classic, with his testnet, to receive testnet tokens, you can only receive them by burning LUNC, and you provide the transaction and for the burnt LUNC, and you receive the entropy testnet tokens, which is interesting, right? So there's already a deflationary LUNC application there. So it'll be interesting to see how that gets done for when he's ready for production launch of it.
Jerry, I got a question.
I do.
Yeah.
You guys,
I saw your hand being raised up multiple times. Like, I see you, dude.
I just want you guys to be more excited, because like I'm looking at this whole thing, like the journey to where we're at right now was like Fellowship of the Ring. The parody is like the Two Towers, and then when the repeg comes, that's when we throw the ring and Mount Doom, right? So there's a lot of exciting things coming up, and you watch an epic movie series like that, you can feel how epic it is. And if we get to the point where we have the repeg, I think everyone's going to be super excited, especially the ones that just stayed in the community the whole time. Oh my goch,
Man,
we're so resilient.
Dude, the validator wars, that was a fun shit show. With
I remember that.
notional labs. I mean, it was one punch, a swing here, an uppercut there. I mean, it's like, it's never ending. I mean, it was Star Wars and Luna Classics, like on steroids.
Well, I was just going to say, I love the idea of us, that we're Star Wars, rather than Lord of the Rings. The end of the movie is Return of the Jedi, where, the whole ecosystem is redeemed, and, there's a big party, and, we've done our job that way. I think with one thing I want to mention about USTC though, as well, is that it's already deflationary, right? So in my level of thinking, there's things you can do automatic. If you can provide any level of use right now, you're already going to help, with the paying down of that bad debt, so to speak. One of the pieces that comes to mind is, you develop a DApp that exclusively uses and uses up fees that way. Just a thought that way, right? Any way that we can further use and transact. This is all about circulation of money, in my opinion. Just again, this is my 2 cents on it. It's funds moving and transacting. In real world economics, velocity of money is kind of what dictates whether you have an economic boom, or you're sort of in a recessionary phase, or so on and so forth. So to me, again, I think you're right, though, Jerry. Like, a repeg is an exciting proposition if it can be done properly, particularly around the reduction of Luna Classic supply. That, for me, is the most exciting part of it, and making previous investors whole.
LDF did say that they were going to throw a parody party once we get to that point. So
that's my trademark PSX. I want a royalty anytime someone uses
it. Chrissy, drinks are on Chrissy.
Just like Tobias was calling DJ Trev the Dr. Phil of the ecosystem. So I said that once, and Tobias said, "No, you can't use that. That's mine."
It's on record now. The space is being recorded. Speaking of Tobias, how is he doing? I haven't heheard much from him. I sent him an invite to the space, but I know
Yeah, no,
the
he's good. He's happy. He started a he's starting a full-time job. I spoke with him earlier today.
Mhm.
He's been very gracious, and offered some of his time. Just, sometimes, so as a couple people were like, "Hey, why was Tobias, poking around or leaving a comment or something?" He's not getting paid. He's not working with the L1 team. He's not in our meetings. None
Right.
of that sort of thing.
He's allowed to
Um,
say hi. I mean,
he's
come
allowed
on,
to
like
say
relax.
hi. He's and we're still friends, and he was a great team member. So
Mhm.
anyway, he wouldn't be able to come back unless there was a governance vote. So anyway, that
Yeah.
aside, he's doing well. He's very happy. I spoke with him today. He said he was doing fantastic. So yeah,
Yeah. No.
he's still keeping an eye on how things are going. With
Good.
he'll be interested. He's cheering us on from the sidelines. Um, but like Ed, if there's sometimes a question with something that Ed might have done, Ed very much answers and just says, "Hey, yeah, I did this," or it saves somebody that didn't. When you ask the person that originally wrote something, you can
Right.
sometimes save yourself, just a half hour of work just through a quick 2-minute exchange saying, "Hey, where did you put, you know, what were you thinking here with this function, or why did you do this, or where is this in this 300 or 400 lines of code?" you know and that can save somebody a lot of time. So it's very nice that they're willing to answer the odd question, and that everybody still gets along really well. So yeah, both those guys are doing great.
And Zardar and or Tobias or whichever, there's still some kind of collaboration between him and Ed, at least. I mean, at least I hope so. Me
There's
personally,
still, I don't know that they're doing any work
right?
per se. I'm sure that
Whether
there's.
it's a side hobby or whatever, like I'd still like to see those two, like kind of like the Batman and Rob. I don't know who's Batman or who's, well, actually Zardo would be Batman, and then I guess Ed would be Robin in this
Oh
case.
no,
Oh,
wrong
I mean,
analogy.
they're good friends, right? So there's always going to be some level of discussion, or potential for that sort of thing. So that's always good. You know
I think
we
I got
want
Jerry a
everybody to
little triggered.
yeah,
Justice
we want
League, maybe.
everybody to get along, and stay friends, and
Yeah,
to do well. That's
and
kind of.
we're actually coming up on the hour here, so we're gonna have to close up this space. Jerry, did you want to add something real quick before the wrap up?
Yeah, I did actually have one last serious question. If you can have a little time there, Lunkburn.
Yeah, totally.
All right, can you still hear me? Because my phone is freezing on me.
I can
We
hear
can hear
you
you,
really well. Yep.
Jerry. Is he rugging again? Okay, well, he gets his phone figured out. Guys, Jerry did just nest up the alt account up. So if you got questions that you weren't able to ask in the space, please shoot those DMs directly to that. We'll get those compiled and send those over to LBA. We will probably close those questions off after a 48-hour time period has passed. And then, Jerry, did you get your phone fixed?
I did, but go ahead, finish.
No, but that was it. I'm gonna hand it over to you, and then we'll wrap it up.
All right, yeah. So when you're talking about the entropy blockchain, Ed's blockchain. So basically, I was thinking that artificial intelligence could be utilized on a layer 1 or layer 2 level, looking for bugs that need to be fixed, and then potentially could provide potential solutions to make a developer's job that much easier. Is that something you think the entropy blockchain can do for Luna Classic?
I don't know about that particular use of that. What is happening? what is happening is that as people are developing, one of the things that we have automated tools that we can run our code through and we can run our testing against. And I think that as people are developing, that's sort of where you're going to see more and more of this sort of AI applied. You can. I know my 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 daughter's high school friends. I hope she's not doing it, but I know that some of them are having Chat GPT assist them with writing some of their English essays, right? So, similarly for developers, there's Copilot, which is in one of the tools that's there that will. Yeah, you could even take a snippet of code and say, hey, ChatGPT, can you find the error with this? And it'll find it for you. It's actually really remarkable. I don't know if it's mature enough yet, though, Jerry, to do that in a real, like, in a production sense, like in real time. But it's definitely coming down the road for sure. And it'll be me, even like we have automated ways of monitoring systems, and you're going to see more and more of that, I think, as AI progresses.
Well, I cannot wait until Ed releases a token for his blockchain, interacts with Luna Classic. I think that's going to be that's just going to be huge. I really do believe that that's going to be a big thing, and I'm excited to see it as well because I'm interested in Chat GPT type functions. People have been using them in customer service scenarios and things like that. So there's a lot of application, and the fact that he has a side chain, there is a lot of data that goes in those that type of software, and that would really slow down what Luna Classic is good at. So having a side chain to take care of some of that, build on that his side chain, and have that storage there, that would just be amazing for anybody that's trying to interact with his blockchain with IBCs on the whole entire cosmos. But
yeah, and I think that the key is that what the hope is, that it increases the demand for Luna Classic. And I think that that's kind of one of the key central pieces, is that the demand for the blockchain is increased as a result. So I definitely think it's a unique story. It's a unique feature. It's an exciting area to be developing in. It's what Ed's passionate about. So, I can't wait to see. And not only that, there's a lot of folks out there, right? A lot of Ethereum GPU miners that were mining Ethereum previously that might not have sold all of their mining hardware and might be looking for a use for it. So it's a really unique opportunity that way.
sounds amazing. I want to thank everybody in here for coming in and listening to Lunkburn Army with the AMA side, the questions, the Q&A, and then into the uninterrupted portion of the podcast. Thanks everyone for coming and listening today. Go ahead, PSX.
And just a quick note, we have another episode coming up with Duncan, as we know him as the one who first initiated the Ziggy proposal. So we're bringing him back, and he's still around. He's still watching, and we'll get that rolled out here, hopefully by later today, to give everybody a heads up, and that will be this Friday. For anybody else, thank you for your time and hanging out with us. And with that, everyone have a good day.
Thanks for having me, guys, and thanks for all the questions to everybody.
Thank you.